Boom. Welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to teach you how to sew 180-degree flace skirt. You're going to learn how to draft the pattern, how to cut it, how to sew it, all the way to the fixing of the zipper. It's beginners friendly, trust me, it's very friendly. Okay, I'm not going to leave you halfway. No, I'm not going to leave you halfway. It's a full video, so I urge you to please subscribe, share to your friends, to your family, to your neighbors, to your enemies. All right, as this is the first official video that I'm posting here on my YouTube channel, so let's go together. All right, it's a channel that you can never afford to miss any of the classes, any of the tutorials. Okay, so let's get right to it. All right, so with Palofane. Okay guys, I'm going to teach us how to draft and cut a flace skirt, and we are going to cut 180-degree flace skirt. Okay, so this is 4 yards of my Ankara fabric, and this is the dimension I want the fabric to be. So when you're cutting, you check the dimension of the print so that you know how to place it and how to draft and how to cut it. Okay, depending on the design you're making, according to your choice and desire. So this is for fabric. Now we are going to fold. See, it's 4 yards of African print. We are going to fold it into two, depending on the length, the length of our skirt. All right, so just going to fold it into two. Remember, this is the positive side of the fabric, this is the negative side of the fabric, this is the positive side. So folding it in such a way that the positive side is meeting with the positive side. Okay, so I'm just going to fold it into two. Fold it into two, not all the way, it's not going to be equal. This is 4 yards, it's too big for the short flace skirt. Okay, so you're just going to fold it into two to the length of your flace skirt, right? So this is, when I folded it into two, is 44 and a half inches. Okay, so this is it. This is where fold stopped. That's where the fold stopped. You didn't get to the end of the fabric that we are using. So I'll go ahead to trim off this edge. I'll trim it off because it's not needed. I'll trim it off all the way. So I've trimmed off the edge. Remember what I said, you fold it to the length of your fabric, or to the length of your flay. You fold it to the length of your flay. So I finished trimming off this edge. So watch closely how I'm going to fold it. From this tip now, from this side that I folded it, I'm going to fold it again, flip it again as I'm doing so. Flip it like a cone shape or funnel shape, right? So I'm going to fold it. Now I'm going to take note. You take note of your zip allowance. Your zipper, my zipper is 1 inch. So I'll just mark it. That is where the second fold is going to end. I'll just mark my 1 inch allowance. Alright? My 1 inch zipper allowance. So this is it. You fold your fabric in such a way it's going to just end at the zipper allowance, right? Or the zip allowance where you're going to fix your zip. So this is it. So you're not going to fold it all the way. It's not going to be equal. So this is the front panel, this is the back panel where you fix your zip, right? It's 1 inch by extension. Ensure that you dress your fabric very well. So after folding it, you can also use this method of folding to cut out your peplon. Okay, you cut out the flay for your peplon top. So now, because it's 180-degree flay, what we're going to do, we divide our circumference, waist circumference, by 3.14, because it's 180 that we are making, 180-degree flay. So my waist circumference is 26.5 inches. So 26.5 inches, if I divide it by 3.14, it will give me 8.4, and that 8.4 approximately is 8.3/8. 8.3/8. So now that's 8.3/8. I will come to this point here, the tip of my the funnel shape that I just folded.
8.3/8. So then mark 8.3/8 is here. Then I will mark it. I'll mark it as so.
So I'm going to make that mark.
So this is 8.3/8.
I'm going to make the mark all around it. again, 8 3 over 8, 8 3 over 8 all the way. So this is my 8 3 over 8, and this is my waist circumference. This is my waist circumference, right? So once I've gotten, please ensure that you dress it very well. You can stay on the floor too. If your table is not that big, you can stay on the floor to draft out this pattern, so that you don't have your fabric rumpled and all that, to reduce stress, to make it easier for you. Okay, so now after you might have marked out your waist circumference here, you now place your tape. You remember it's going to have a band, so you take out from this place, from the place that you've marked your waist circumference, you take out 2 inches, 2 inches for your band. See what I'm doing? You take out 2 inches for your band from this place that you've already made. You've already marked your waist circumference. Now take the full length. You take the full length. My full length is 26 inches. That's my knee length. It's going to be on my knee, right? A bit, just not on top of my knee, but a bit below my knee. So I'm going to mark 26 inches. 26 inches plus 2 inches hemming allowance, because I'm going to use my lining to turn it over, to turn it up, right? So I'll mark 2 inches. That's 28, total of 28. Now I've taken my full length and I've marked it. I've taken the hemming allowance, I've marked it. That's 2 inches. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here at this tip to note that place. Okay, with my measuring tape here, it's now 32 3 over 8 and 34 3 over 8. Okay, so I'm now going to place it and mark all the way. 32 3 over 8, don't carry, 34 3 over 8. Okay, for my hemming allowance. So that's how I'm just going to be shifting my tape and be marking it all the way around to give me that shape, that circle shape. So I hope you're seeing what I'm doing. 32 3 over 8, 34 3 over 8. As I'm going to mark it all the way, I'll be shifting it. 32 3 over 8, 34 3 over 8. That's 2 inch allowance. I'll move it. Okay. 32 3 over 8, 34 3 over 8. I'll move it again. 32 3 over 8, 34 3 over 8. So I'll now make my curve. I'll now connect it with my freehand sketch. So I'll just make that curve, that cone or funnel curve, right? So this is it. This is it. This is my waist circumference. Once after cutting it, this is the zip allowance. After cutting it, it's going to be perfect, like exactly your shape, like your waist circumference. Okay, it's not going to be much, it's not going to be bulky. You don't even need to fold it. Like some people will have excess and decide to print it because it's too much, it's excess. But when a client needs exact, like she doesn't want any fold on the Teflon or the flake, so if you use this method, it's really going to be exact. You will not have excess to fold. So we'll go ahead to cut it. Watch the way I cut. So I'll go ahead to cut. I'll go ahead to cut it. I'll go ahead to cut it as I'm doing so. Cut the full length. I'll cut my hemming allowance, okay? The hemming allowance is where I'm going to cut. Not here, not my full length. Just cut as I'm doing so. So you have to be careful how you cut it so you don't. You see how it is? Very neat. Remember you took out 2 inches for your band. Alright, just going to trim it off. So this is a flake. See how beautiful it is. This is my waist exactly. So I finished tracing it out on my lining. You see that the lining is shorter. The lining is shorter than the fabric because by the time I fold it, it will come up. Okay, so the lining is 2 inches shorter than the fabric. And then this is my band, my 2 inches band that I'm going to use. And go ahead to the machine and just sew it. So this is it. You can use this. This method is really, like say, perfect. You permit me to use the word perfect because it helps you to get the exact waist circumference. Okay, you don't need to fold. You not have excess after cutting it out. So you can use this method for your peplon, like I said, for your peplon top. Okay.
Subscribe.
Okay, guys. Here we are to sew our fleece skirt. All right. This lining, you place your lining. The lining will face the positive side of your fabric. So this is the full length of my flay. Okay. So that's where I'm going to sew it. Placing. Remember, I said that. Remember that this lining is shorter than the fabric itself. So we're just going to place our lining as so. Okay. Place it and sew it together all the way round the flay at the full length. That's the base of your skirt. So you're just going to sew it round as I'm doing so. Sew it round. So watch what I'm doing. When you are sewing, you'll be dressing it. Okay, and don't drag it. Just 1/2 inch. Okay, you'll be using 1/2 inch to sew. Just sew it round as I'm doing so. Okay, guys, I've finished sewing it. You see how neat it is? I've finished sewing it. So the next thing we are going to do is, this is where the base that you sewed round, right? So now you remember the lining is shorter than the fabric. So you push it, you take it, align it together with the fabric at the waistline. You take it up at the waistline. Okay? So it's going to give you the exact length. Okay? This is the length. So what we are going to do is we sew it all the way down. That is what we are doing. What we are going to do from the waistline, we sew it all the way down. Then go to the other side of it. Okay, let's sew it to the way down. Just watch me as I'm doing so. Make sure that you fix it very well. Okay, I finished sewing the side. Okay, from the waistline all the way down to the full length. So we'll come to this side. This side, and sew the side seam too. We sew it by the side. After sewing it, then we now turn it. Okay, we now turn it over. After sewing it, we just go ahead to turn it. So watch me as I sew it. Before you now sew your waistline and fix your band, then your zip. So watch as I'm sewing it. You can still see the mark where I took out 1 inch for my zipper. So after sewing it, you're just going to trim off the excesses and notch before you turn over to the positive side. Okay, before you turn it up to the positive side, ensure that you notch the side. Okay, come to this side and notch it. Be careful so you don't cut your fabric. So you notch the side. After notching, we'll go ahead to, you see how it is, this is my waistline. So we'll go ahead to turn it over. So I'll just use my scissors to bring out the corners. So I'll just turn it over. After turning it over, you go ahead and iron it so that it will relax. Okay, so I finished turning it over. You see how it is very neat. This is it. This is it. This is how it is. Very neat. So what we'll do now is, after turning it over to the positive side, you will now run a loose stitches. You just sew the waistline. So we'll go ahead to sew the waistline so that we can fix our band. And when you're sewing, please be dressing it. Be dressing it so you don't have issues, so that your lining will not be dragging the fabric. It will be relaxed. And use your pin as a beginner. Use your pin first to hold it. Dress it with your pin. Make sure you dress the lining with your pin. Secure it before sewing it. So you see how neat it is. This is the back. See how neat it is. This is the zipper. See how neat it is. See? So the next thing is to fix our band. Right? Fix our band. I'm just going to notch the center. Notch the center of your skirt at the waistline. I'll notch the center. Take my band. I've already cut out my band. Okay, this is it. I'm going to use this method of fixing in case you don't have an electric iron, or you have an electric iron and there is no light. You know, this is Nigeria where we are. Hey, I love my nation. I love my country, Nigeria. So it's 2 inches, but I made it 2.5 so that I'll use half inch to sew it. You understand? So once you cut out your band, you fold it into 2. Use your iron, whether it's hot or cold, just lay it flat, press it. All right. Then after pressing it to lay it flat, you take the midpoint and notch it. Take the midpoint and notch. Notch it. Then remember that we notched the midpoint of our skirt. So I will match the place I notched on my band, match it together with my band, the place I notched. Okay, so the place I notched on my band, match it together with the place I notched on my skirt. So I'm just going to sew it. Start from the middle to sew it one side, then sew it. And remember, I'm sewing the back first. The front, the positive side of my band is facing the negative side of my skirt. So I will just start from the place I notched that I've already aligned together and sew using ½ inch. You can go ahead to use your pin to secure it first before sewing it. That will be easier for you, to help you, to make it easier, all right, for you. So I finished sewing it. What we are going to do is trim off the excesses. Okay. You see how it is. I hope you're seeing what I'm doing. I finished sewing it. I first of all sew the back. See how it is. So the next thing I'm going to do is also fold it. Okay, match the place I notched. This place I notched. Fold it once, fold, match it where you notched your skirt, okay, where you started to sew the first time, and fold it. Just fold it as I'm doing so. Once you fold it, hope you're seeing what I'm doing, then you match it where you notched on your skirt. So you go ahead to use your pin to secure it all the way before you start sewing, okay, if you're a beginner. Then I will just go ahead to sew it. Use your pin to secure it before sewing. So we'll just go ahead to sew. Once you're sewing, ensure that you're dressing it, and ensure that the lines, the place where you sewed at first, the thread is not showing. Cover the thread. Okay guys, I've finished. I started from the middle to sew all the way to this point. So the next thing is I used my pin to hold it from this middle to this point. So I will start again from this point, from this end point. I will sew it all the way to meet the middle where I've already sewn. While I'm sewing, I will be removing the pin. So just watch as I'm doing so. So it has met the middle. I stopped at the middle where I started. Do you understand? So this is our band. See how neat it's looking. Okay, this is the negative side of it, the inner side. This is the inner side. You see how beautiful the back side of the dress, of the skirt, is looking. So the next thing is to fix our zip. Okay, so I'm just going to take note of, I will just fold it into two, then take my waist circumference, the measurement of my waist. The measurement of my waist is 26.5 inches, but because I want it to be very tight on my waist, I'm going to remove that half inch, make it 26. So it's going to be 13 inches right here. Okay, so I'm just going to mark 13 because this thing is on two folds. All right, so I'm just going to mark it. This is it. You just make a mark inside of it so that you will know the exact place when you're fixing your zipper. So the next thing here is, from here, take note of where your zipper is going to end. I'm going to take the measurements and know where I'm going to fix it. Okay, know where I'm going to fix it. This is from this point to this iron is 7.5. So I'll just measure 7 inches from the band. 7 inches from the band. That's where my zip will end. So from here now, from this waistline, from my band, okay, which is my waist, I'm just going to measure 7 inches, and that's where I'm going to start to sew. So from this place now, where my zip is going to end, I'll just come in by 1 inch. Okay, remember this is the inside. I'll just come in by 1 inch from the point. Let me measure it again. So I'll just come in by 1 inch, and that is where I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew it together. From here, I'll slant it all the way to this. I'll come here, mark half inch. That's where I'm going to slant it. I'm not going to sew it from this 1 inch straight down. No, I'm going to slant it, like just slant it, kind of. This is flay, and I want the down part to be fuller, to float, you know. So go ahead to dress your skirt very well and ensure that it's the band. You see the band, it's together, it's aligned. The both side of the band is aligned. Ensure that the full length of your skirt is aligned, just the same way this one is aligned. So from here that my zipper will end, I'm just going to sew it. Please, you can use your pin to secure it first. So you just use your pin to hold it as I'm doing so. So I'll finish holding it. I'll finish securing it with my pin. So I'm just going to start sewing. Okay. I'll start sewing from that 1 inch that I came in. I came in by 1 inch. So it's that place I'm going to start sewing. You know, I came down by 7 inches. So I'll start sewing and slant it all the way. I'm not So I'll finish sewing the zip side, okay? The side of the zip, that's the back panel. So see how I slanted it. You know this is a flame, it's not straight. So I slanted it because I want the down part to be full, okay? So I slanted it from here where my zip ended, slanted it all the way down to the hemming, all right, to the full length. So the next thing is I'll just cut off this excess, the band that is excess. I'll cut it off. Then you go ahead to iron it. Iron the side before you start fixing your zipper. Currently there's no light, but see how neat it is. See how neat and straightforward it is. You see, so this place is equal, the hemming is equal, okay? So the next thing we are going to do is this is the place I marked for my waist circumference. So I'm just going to fold it in because I'm fixing my zip. So I'll just fold it in, okay? That's how I'm going to do it. Once I fold it in, I'll fold it in and fix my zip here. So my zip is going to start, I'm going to fix my zip from the band, okay? So this is it. This is how it's going to look like. So this is where my zip will be. So just watch closely how I'm going to do it. So if you have your iron, you go ahead and use your hot iron to press it before placing it to sew. So just watch closely as I'm sewing it. Once you get to the tip of it, you turn it the same way I'm doing it. So you turn it and fold. Note the place, this place that I noted for my zipper, and ensure that they are aligned together. So this is it. I've finished fixing it. This is how it is looking. Can you see it? The zip. The both side of the band, they are aligned together. This side is not up than this one. Both of them are just at the same level. That's how it should be. So I will now go ahead to fold this part and sew. Reduce this place, take it inside and sew it. So this is how it is. So this side, I'm just going to fold it, this place, fold it in and sew. So guys, this is it. This is our flay. You see that this fitted shape. See, so this the pattern which I used to draft this will give you the exact. You don't need to fold, because some people, after cutting their flay, they will end up folding. It will be in excess. The waistline will be in excess. They won't know how to get the exact waist circumference. Their waistline will be in excess. So but if you use the pattern that I drafted, okay, this method, you end up getting your exact waist circumference. You will not need to fold. There won't be any excess. You will not need to fold. So this is how beautiful it is. So despite the fact I did not iron while I was sewing, it still came out fine. But it's advisable for you to be ironing while you're sewing. Okay, so that is the end of our video.
Thank you for watching.